Greetings, my fellow gorehounds. One quick note before we begin. The episode you're about to watch was originally intended as my blood-splattered Halloween special, but due to circumstances outside of my control, took a lot longer to make than anticipated. So, instead of a blood-splattered Halloween, I want you all to think of this as my first ever edition of Lancegiving, in honor of Mr. Henriksen, the lead in the film I'm about to feature. And with that said, bon appetit, motherfuckers! Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome to A Blood-Splattered Halloween, where I put the laughter back into slaughter, but with a pumpkin-y twist. And this week we're talking about a cult classic that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Seriously, I straight up shit my pants. I probably shouldn't admit that, but I did anyway. Ladies? Pumpkinhead, a grim fairy tale, claims the poster. Well, it can't be that grim. I mean, it only got one M while these got two. What's up with that? But regardless of its grimness, Pumpkinhead is a small movie with big ambition that unfortunately bombed due to circumstances outside of its control. You see, it was originally produced by DEG, the Laurentiis Entertainment Group, and was scheduled to release Halloween 1987. Unfortunately, the company went bankrupt right before its release, and the film ended up in limbo. That is until United Artists picked it up for a very limited release 1 year later, where no one really saw it. This meant that by the time the film had come out, it was not only in less theaters, the hype had also completely died down, and most people assumed something was wrong with it because why else wouldn't it make its original date? Thankfully, however, all was not lost. In the years following its release, Pumpkinhead would grow to become a very popular late-night creature feature, as well as a damn successful video rental. As a result, the tale of Pumpkinhead expanded to 3 sequels, a comic book tie-in, and even a PC game. None of which I would actually call good, mind you, but they were made nonetheless. And that of course brings us to this week's feature. So lock up your livestock, bolt them doors, and don't you dare help the man crying outside, because this week's flame-filled feature is none other than Stan Winston's directorial debut, Pumpkinhead. Damn, we're not even past the opening credits and already this flick is hot to the touch. I do question labeling it a Lion Films production though. I mean, why would I want to watch a film that's lying to me?
Go on, do your prayers, Eddie.
If your dad whips out a shotgun during prayer time, you might need to call Child Protective Services. Seriously, what the fuck? Actually, Daddy Harley here's all loaded up because he knows outside a defenseless stuntman is running from the titular Pumpkinhead. Fun fact, that actor is Dick Warlock, the very same Dick Warlock who played Michael Myers in Halloween Part 2. On top of that, I'm pretty sure he was one of the many stunt people terrorized by Green Goblin's pumpkin bombs in the original Spider-Man. So what I'm saying is, that man needs to stay the fuck away from anything pumpkin.
Oh, for God's sakes, Tom, open up, please! What kind of a Christian are you, for God's sakes?
The Jewish kind. Sadly, Mr. Warlock's time completely runs out, and we get our very first glimpse at Pumpkinhead himself, who may or may not be related to Sam from Trick or Treat. Seriously, dude, the blood tests are in. Best stop skimping on them child supports. Okay, no joke, when I was a kid, I used to have nightmares of Pumpkinhead standing outside my bedroom window in that exact same pose. Just goes to show that sometimes seeing the monster can be just as terrifying as not seeing it. Following Mr. Warlock's graphic murder, little Ed Harley here grows up to become Lance Henriksen, otherwise known as Bishop from Aliens. Also, kudos to the movie for giving us some upper male nudity right off the bat. That's sure to piss off the prudes over at movieguide.org. Oh no, pectorals! Think of the children! Speaking of children, grown-up Ed here now has a son of his own named Billy, who in my opinion seems way too fond of dog testicles.
Guess what? Last one in the house to get the privilege of washing the breakfast dishes.
That's not privilege. I have it on very good authority that privilege is being able to talk about things on the internet. Hashtag not your dishes. I swear, everyone in this movie is perpetually dirty. It's like Oliver Twist, except the twist is accidental blackface. By the way, the family dog has a bit of horror pedigree himself, having also played the family dog in Joe Dante's Gremlins. And who could forget his iconic turn in the family-friendly classic, Benji Goes to Hell. It's like all dogs go to heaven, except in this one, they don't. So Billy surprises his dad with a homemade necklace, but if you ask me, the real surprise is it's not made entirely of dog turds.
Oh, well. Now this is something.
Oh, yikes. Looks like Billy went to the Blair Witch School of Arts and Crafts. But enough of the Harleys, because we got ourselves a merry band of douchebags to introduce, and I'm pretty sure one of them's a men's rights activist.
Honey, get me a beer.
Sorry.
Thank you, Klutz.
You're welcome, shithead. How long until this character dies again? Oh yeah, that's right. Not soon enough. But in all seriousness, the douche canoe's actual name is Joel, his girlfriend is Kim, the driver of the car in front of him is his brother Steve, and in Steve's car sits Maggie, Tracy, and Chris. Together they're all headed to a secluded cabin in the woods, because it wouldn't be a blood-splattered cinema episode if they went to Portland.
The cops found like her foot or something in this big pot with all these carrots and onions. It was like foot stew. Foot stew.
This is the police. Open up.
They're on to me.
We know you're in there.
The teenagers make a pit stop at Ed Harley's store where they promptly abandon all hope. Nice touch there, set designer. That's actually a really cool detail and I kinda dig it. At the same time, Joel decides to give his dirt bike a test run, but not before a pack of hillbillies arrive from either a coal mine or the Great Depression. Oh shit, better watch out, kid. Peter Pan looks pissed and I'm pretty sure he's about to go Lord of the Flies on your ass.
Jimmy Joe, you done bad. Y'all know what settles on badness, don't you?
Yeah, we take them out back and cornhole them. Actually, it turns out they just scare the shit out of them with a pretty fucked up nursery rhyme. Then again, what nursery rhyme isn't fucked up? I'm looking at you, Rockabye Baby. Or should I say Rockabye Baby that's now dead as shit? Holy fuck!
Shut up, Hesse.
Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living.
His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving.
Fascinatingly enough, that poem was written by Ed Justin, a friend of the producer, and was originally intended to scare the crap out of his kids. Basically, producer Billy Blake loved the poem so much he wanted to turn it into a horror flick. And when screenwriters Gary GERANI and Mark Carducci pitched him a movie about a vengeance demon, Blake seized the opportunity to combine both ideas. He then took the script directly to Stan Winston with the intention of hiring him to do the special effects, but Stan loved it so much he asked to direct. Billy said yes, and then Pumpkinhead came to be. Just goes to show that a film can come from anywhere, even a poem a friend wrote. Anyway, Billy's dog chases after Joel's dirt bike, which leads to one of the most depressing playthroughs of Excitebike I have ever seen. And believe me, I've seen some sad ones. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the world's first death scene shot entirely in slow-bro. Wait a second, hold on. Apparently, this near-death experience is brought to you by Coca-Cola, which is in no way awkward given their latest marketing campaign. I will remember you. Will you remember me?
Daddy.
Yeah, baby.
He died as he lived, with his face covered in dirt. The teenagers arrive at the cabin where Joel reveals himself to be a bargain bin David Hess. Oh, who am I kidding? Bargain bin? Motherfucker straight out of a dollar bin. While at the same time, Mr. Harley pays a visit to the town witch. And I'm not talking about the kind played by Sarah Jessica Parker. This is actually a perfect time to talk about how fucking gorgeous this movie is. The film was shot by cinematographer Bohan Bazelli to evoke the look and feel of a Mario Bava film. And anyone who knows anything about Bava knows that he loved to use extravagant colors to visually represent intangible ideas. In Pumpkinhead's case, Bohan used red to symbolize evil or hell, yellow to symbolize happiness or paradise, and blue to represent melancholy hopelessness. And when you combine all that with Cynthia Charette's elaborate set designs, you end up with a film that looks not unlike a Gothic painting. Or, as the poster put it, a grim fairy tale. But enough jerkle-cirkin' because Mr. Harley's about to confront Haggis, the town witch, with a request that will no doubt damn him for all eternity. And by damn him, I of course mean force him to appear in Pumpkinhead 3 and 4. Ugh, a fate worse than death if there ever was one.
Ever hear a razorback holler?
No, but I have heard of Razorback, otherwise known as Jaws the Squeal Like a Pig edition. But it turns out Razorback Holler isn't a movie, it's a graveyard where Pumpkinhead lays buried. And it's now up to Mr. Harley to dig him up so that Haggis can prepare a curse. By the way, were you aware that cutting utensils are living, breathing creatures in and of themselves? I mean, how else would you explain the fact that when Haggis goes to cut Ed's hand, the knife clearly bleeds for him? Either it's alive and cares so deeply for Ed's well-being it's willing to hurt itself in his stead, or someone on the effects department's got some explaining to do. But whatever the case is, Haggis dumps the curse juice on Pumpy's face and mazel tov. It's a boy. I think? Joking aside, the creature effects are fucking spectacular, which is to be expected of the man who gave us the Terminator, to be sure. But were you aware that Stan Winston actually had very little to do with the effects in this movie? The truth is, Stan passed the torch down to his A-team at Stan Winston Studios because as a director, he had far too many other obligations. So he put complete faith in his colleagues to perform, and by God did they ever. Pumpkinhead is a brilliant mix of every trick in the book. You got yourself an animatronic head for snarly bits, a stuntman in a bodysuit for hawk-like movements, leg and arm extensions for a towering silhouette, and various prosthetics to hide the seams in between. Well, most of the seams anyway. I see you there, Seam. You can't fool me. Anywho, after unleashing the literal beast, Ed Harley heads home but nearly passes out from exhaustion, which then leads to a pretty depressing hallucination. Yeesh.
What'd you do, Daddy?
Damn it, boy, why didn't you show up 5 minutes ago? You could have stopped me from doing something really terrible, like Pumpkinhead 3.
True story, that was the scene that prompted Mr. Henriksen to accept the role, because after he read it, it got him so emotional that he nearly cried. And I gotta be honest, for me, every time I see this movie, it gets me a little teary-eyed too. Back at the cabin, Maggie freaks out for religious reasons, which prompts Steve to run after her. But unfortunately for both of them, that's when Pumpkinhead decides to go clubbing. Oh, Steve, stop playing dead. I can clearly see your eyes moving. Meanwhile, over at Haggis's place, Ed changes his mind about the whole quest for bloody vengeance thing after discovering that he and Pumpkinhead are psychically linked, and therefore he must watch as each murder occurs.
It's gotta run its course now. What did you think? It'd be easy, neat and clean and painless.
I honestly can't tell anymore if she's talking about Pumpkinhead or passing a kidney stone. My baby! But regardless, it becomes clear she has no intention of helping Mr. Harley, so he vows to stop the bloodshed himself, and he better hurry up because back at the cabin, Kim and Joel are about to discover that in Soviet Russia, monster puppets you. Holy shit, did Kim just faint? Well, obviously this movie's the height of social progressiveness. Triumph of the Will, Birth of a Nation, and fucking Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead invades the cabin and Joel tries to stop him, but the douche bro quickly learns that for all his pseudo-manliness, he is but a mere beta. You know, if that was an actual thing, of course, and not just something some shitheads who can't get laid made up.
I can't. What's got her? That's a thing. What thing, man? It's a thing. I don't know. It's a thing.
No, it's a Pumpkinhead. The Thing was the work of Stan Winston and Rob Bottin. Oh, it's been a while since I've done one of these. All right, let's do this. Uh-oh, looks like Kim's officially hit rock bottom. Best beware of Pumpkinhead, for he will rock you. And finally, that was the day Kim found herself caught between a rock and a dead place. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. The teenagers attempt to steal a local's car, who responds with a dog and a shotgun, but that becomes the least of their problems when Pumpkinhead strolls in with either a John Wayne stride or a gangsta lean.
Pumpkin pie, motherfucker!
Joel then tries to make sure Pumpkinhead's still dead, and surprise, surprise, he's not. Holy shit, Pumpkinhead's armed! Now he's painting with all the colors of the Rambo. While Joel's turned into a Joel kebab, Mr. Harley is mauled by the town dog, who can't seem to decide which arm he's biting for some reason. And then we get our very first confirmation that if the man gets hurt, so too does the demon. Elsewhere, Chris and Tracy run into Bunt, who offers to guide them to relative safety, I suppose.
Pumpkinhead?
That's what it's called. Because it comes from the old pumpkin patch graveyard.
Man, I'd hate to see what would happen if he came from the Cabbage Patch graveyard.
Cabbage Patch Kids, Cabbage Patch Kids.
Pumpkinhead eventually crashes the pity party and, much like a black metal singer, makes it pretty damn clear he don't give two shits about Jesus. Meanwhile, the teens come upon one of their motorcycles and... I think at this point he's less the spirit of vengeance and more the spirit of pure dickery. But don't you fret about Tracy and Bunt, my dear viewers, because Mr. Harley's arrived and he's brought a fully functioning vehicle. Feel free to fret about Chris, however, because he's pretty fucking screwed. God, this movie's so atmospheric, my asthma's acting up. Mr. Harley takes the kids back to his place and then whips out a flamethrower because he's fixing to make himself a Pumpkinhead spiced latte. Meanwhile, Bunt's either mourning the death of Billy or desperately holding back a fart. Watch out there, stuntman. I can see your eye holes. Anyway, Pumpkinhead drags Bunt outside just as Ed accidentally stabs himself. So that's why they call him Lance. Naturally, this leads to the realization that stopping Pumpkinhead's gonna take far more drastic measures. So Mr. Harley grabs himself a gun out of his glove compartment and click, click. Pumpkinhead, arguing for suicide since 1988. Actually, the movie's not over yet because Pumpkinhead's a lot like the Terminator in that he just won't fucking die. Also, apparently nearly dying made him start to more closely resemble Mr. Henriksen. Well, either that or he's gone full Freddy circa Dream Warriors. Pumpkinhead, also arguing for killing the man whose son you killed earlier that day since 1988. Dark humor aside, I actually really love how Pumpkinhead and Ed not only land in the exact same positions, but that they're identical to Billy's position earlier in the movie. It's a small touch, but a much appreciated one nonetheless. Anyway, to wrap this puppy up, Pumpkinhead bursts into flames, echoing both the movie's opening credit sequence, as well as the introduction of adult Harley, and then we cut to Haggis bearing what appears to be yet another pumpkin fetus, but is in actuality the dead remains of Ed Harley, indicating that the cycle will indeed continue in a sequel that is totally not a complete waste of time. Well, either it's his remains or he totally knocked up Pumpkinhead earlier in the movie. Oh god, That's actually a terrible mental image. Anyway, if you can't tell already, Pumpkinhead is a hell of a fucking movie. In a way, it's kind of like a Disney flick filtered through the mind of an Italian horror director. A film with as much heart as it has entrails. On top of that, it's a practical effects showcase. A demo reel of some of the best, most overlooked work Stan Winston Studios ever produced. Also, speaking of Stan Winston, it's a crying shame this man never made another horror flick. Because holy God, does he have an eye for atmosphere? And I would be completely remiss if I didn't mention that Lance Henriksen gives one of the most heartbreaking performances of his entire career. Seriously, when Ed Harley cries, the world cries with him. In fact, I think guys, I think I might have gotten something in my eye. I don't know. It's just so sad. Oh wow, that's like 2 videos in a row where I really don't have anything to complain about. Oh well. I'll have plenty of that when I get to Pumpkinhead 2. Oh, wait a second. This isn't Pumpkinhead 2 at all. This is my copy of Phantoms. Oh, well, you know what? Still a better movie than Pumpkinhead 2.
You know, he was one of them yes and no kind of guys. They killed our boiling, honey.
And now they're gonna kill me. Oh my God. Thank you, my fellow gorehounds, for tuning in for yet another exciting episode of Blood Splattered Cinema. As per usual, like, comment, subscribe, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and check out my official website, www.bloodsplatteredcinema.com. And now, if you excuse me, it's that time of year again to go scare the shit out of some kids, so I'm gonna go do that. Trick or treat, motherfuckers.